Recording in progress.
Brian? Brian, can you hear me?
Good morning, Chair. Yes, I can hear you, Chair.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you, Chair. How are you?
Very well. It's few seconds to 10. May I invite you to flag the agenda, please? Brian, can you run through the items?
Chair, the first item is a briefing by the DMV on its Audit Action Plan. Second item being the briefing by the DMV Audit Committee on the implementation of Audit Action Plans, challenges and related matters. The third item being the committee correspondence, the DMV responses to the correspondence from DMV audit officials. The audit committee was also to present on its observations and recommendations on the governance matters raised. Essentially, those are the three items, Chair.
Okay. On item number 5 was this brought to the attention of the audit committee that will expect them to reflect on the governance side of the concern, on the governance side.
That is correct, Chair. That was brought to their attention. But Chair, just a reminder that we have a correspondence coming from the Minister requesting postponement on that item.
Well, if we have the correspondence that has that request, I saw it. I think the Minister is asking for the extension of time. I think it will be appropriate that we we take the audit committee's observations and recommendations after the minute. Excuse me. After the Minister has applied, has responded fully and comprehensively as we requested previously. I don't know whether it would not be correct to take these two presentations simultaneously. In other words, if we defer the Minister's response, we also defer this one to the date when the Minister would be presenting, and then we take the audit committee's observations as well. But because we wanted the audit committee to look purely on matters that are within their realm, just to assure us that on that front, they are brought on board and they are attending to those issues, or the issues are attended to their satisfaction. Maybe let me hear what the committee has to say on this one. Right, colleagues, and let's, before I do that, let me welcome all of you. Brian, do you have the quorum?
Indeed, we do, Chair.
We do have the quorum. Let's take the apologies. Are there any apologies?
Indeed, we do, Chair. We have an apology from Minister who's unable to attend the meeting due to ill health. We also have an apology from Ms. Lekwasi. Those are all the apologies. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Brian, you have referred to the letter of the minister. Is it possible to read that letter at this stage? Do you have it with you? I know it was shared. I know it was shared with the colleagues, but I want it for the record because it differs one of the items on the agenda. I think it's proper that we read it into the record.
I can access it, Chair.
Please do. And all right, once you are accessing that part, let me just check. I see Mr. Mare's hand. Mr. Mare, I think you are just on the agenda as a whole.
No, I wanted to respond to what you have said, that you want to ask input from the committee on what you have just said. So if you first want Brian to read the letter before I respond, I'll do so.
And what do you prefer? Because you have seen the letter, maybe you can respond.
Yeah. First of all, I think there are two matters. Obviously, the audit committee, we have long been, and it's besides only this concerns and the letter that we have received about the complaints. Obviously, we want the audit committee to assure us that they are working, that they are operational, and I think in their presentation they raise a number of matters that obviously could have led to what the complainants have raised with us. So to a certain extent, we need to get their presentation separately from that dealing with the concerns and the complaints. So I would think that we can listen to them in terms of their presentation, but in terms of their response to the specific letter and the complaints, that we must defer to when we get the input from the minister and the final input on that regard. So I obviously I must just say that in terms of the letter that Brian will read now, there's nothing that one can do because that's basically a notification. However, DMV had quite a substantial time to look at these issues, and it gives the impression that they have not really applied their mind properly, because they've had a week since we have met, and then prior to that, quite a time, when they received the letter from yourself and from Brian to prepare a response to. So, how long do they actually need to respond? So that's a bit of a concern, but that is now a fait accompli. Thank you.
No, that's fine. No, thanks. I think we're together on that one. Is there any objections, colleagues, to the approach? One, we defer the item as per the request of the minister, and two, we also defer the audit committee's observation on the grievances, and but we'll still take their presentation on the matter that is on the agenda, which is independent of this item on the grievances of staff. Ms. Motapu?
Okay, I fully second, Chair, the proposal.
Thank you very much. The proposal is fully seconded. Please, Thabo, let's read the letter into the record. Not Thabo, Brian.
Chair, the letter is coming from the minister, dated the 12th of March 2024, and it reads as follows: request for extension on submission of DMV responses on issues of concern raised in correspondence from DMV officials. I acknowledge the receipt of the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans letter dated 6 March 2024. It is highly appreciated that the committee resolved to afford the DMV another opportunity to sufficiently and comprehensively respond to the allegations on the 13th March 2024. I humbly request the committee to give the department extension to prepare responses of good quality and provide supporting documentation. Furthermore, to this, to ensure that information shared is thoroughly verified and all prescripts are adhered to. The proposed date for submission is 22nd March 2024. That is the chair.
Okay, colleagues, we have already agreed that we'll grant the minister the extension as requested. So the matter will stand down as agreed until that time. So that then takes us to the next. Takes us to the next item. Mr. Bond, I see your hand.
Chair, thank you very much. Good morning, and good morning to the committee. Just Chair, is the Deputy Minister in our meeting? Just a question.
I don't see him. I don't see him.
Thank you, Chair. Just can it be noted what Mr. Murray said as well, please?
What are you talking about now?
About the fact that the length of time this has taken to resolve.
There's no point for noting. We are saying we're deferring the matter to the date after the 22nd, which is the extension date that we are granting to the minister. And that on the same day we look at the minister's response, comprehensive response. We'll also be taking the presentation from the audit committee on their observations and possible recommendations. And I think what Mr. Murray is saying is expressing a concern that you see, in our view, we thought they had sufficient time, and but they are asking for more time, and so that is his concern. But in my view, because we are granting the extension, it's now neither here nor there. I don't know if you want to make a further comment.
Chair, I understand what you're saying. It's fine. At the meeting, we can voice our opinion. Thank you very much.
Correct. We can voice our concern when the minister is present.
Thank you, Chair.
In other words, I'm not muzzling it. All right, Mr. Murray, I hope we are on agreement.
Yeah. Obviously, I mean, I think it's the platform that I must raise it because we have given them quite sufficient time. So it's a bit of a concern. We have raised the concerns over the last 5 years a number of times, not only with the minister and DMV, but other departments as well, that they are given ample time, and then they would often come and not do a proper presentation, and then we would send them back and they have to return later on. So it is a bit of a concern, and somehow, hopefully, they will take the message, and I think that's maybe where Mr. Bond comes from, that it must be noted that, we're giving them ample time, and then they always come and ask for extension and give the impression as if they have not properly applied their mind in terms of our instruction and invitation. Thank you.
Well, in the minutes, it will be reflected as your concern. It's fine. Let's leave it at that you did express the concern. Yes. No, that's fine. To be honest, it would be my wish that by the time the minister comes to us on this matter, some of the matters that are resolvable will be resolved by then, because some matters are really within the purview of the executive authority and they can be dealt with quickly and then be reported on as matters as matters that have been resolved and no longer needing our attention. Because as we are saying, rightly, fully so, Mr. Mare, some of the matters they are raising are not new to us. I mean, for example, I just want to make one example. If they say, if in their consent they are saying that X number of senior managers had not signed their performance agreement, and of course that is in the report of the AG, and that's 2023-2024 report. We're now in the 2024-2025. No. It was on the 2022-2023 report. And yeah, we're now in 2023-2024. That would be the second year since the matter was raised. And if that issue of senior managers who had not signed their performance agreement recurs, then it becomes a recurring audit query. So we wish that the minister would say, yes, it was an issue as it was reported in the AG's report, but in this financial year that is ending 31st of March 2024, that matter has been resolved. So it's no longer an issue. So it's behind us and we now can move forward. So there was these issues of governance that we thought some of them, unless they are resolved, some of the challenges facing this department will continue. They don't require a group of staff to raise them. And especially if our matters that we've raised ourselves. So it so happened that on some of the issues, we are aware of them. Some of the issues we are aware because they have come up even on this platform. Okay, so that's my point. I'm sure even the audit committees, they look at them. They must look at them in the context of saying, what does the law say? And is the department complying with the law? And how do you ensure that there is compliance? And don't come to, so that by the time they come to us, at least they've put in place some plans to deal with them. Those resolvable are resolved. All right, let's leave it at that. Right, Brian, the first item is the briefing on the audit action plans by the department itself, isn't it?
That is correct, Chair.
All right. Let me just check. I think Honorable Mafu is on the platform. Let me just confirm if the DM is in the meeting or not in the meeting. All right. So there's no indication. Let me just check with the staff from the DM's office. Who is from the DM's office?
Morning, Chair. Dimas Kosana from the DM's office. The
Yes,
DM is not joined, but will give an indication as soon as he comes on board.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Thank you. All right. Honorable, Acting DG Mafu, over to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members. Honorable, when you say I'm honorable, I receive. From the Department of Military Veteran Chair, we have the following officials. Ms. Mwatlodi, Mr. Dlungwane, Ms. Ntlabati, Mr. Matsafu, Ms. Murolo, Mr. Siengo, Mr. Rampile, CFO, I think that is the staff members that are in the meeting, Chairperson. Chairperson, we will then be doing a presentation on audit, action plan. And as you have indicated, Chairperson, that we should take two presentations, that is the presentation by the department and the presentation by the audit committee. I just want to confirm, Chairperson, that we have from the audit committee, the Chairperson, Ms. Sonjani, we have Mr. Sirote, we have Mr. Sokela, and we have Mr. Moletsani. They are in the department as we speak, so we'll be sharing the same gadget for reporting. I will then ask CFO to do the presentation, given that he is the audit controller. Over to you, CFO.
CFO, how much time do you need?
Good morning, Chair. I'm at your leisure, Chair, because I can then move at a faster pace, Chair.
No, roughly how much time?
I can take 20 minutes maximum on the presentation.
Okay. All right, I give you 20 minutes, and we'll then review it and then check how many more minutes you still need. Okay, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to the honorable members.
You can set your video on. Must I take that you have a challenge doing that?
I will attempt to set the video on, Chair, with the hope that it won't interfere with the connectivity.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. I would like to then just share the screen in the meantime, Chair. If I may confirm, Chair, is the screen now visible?
It is visible, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning again, Chair and honorable members. Good morning, colleagues. This is a presentation where we then are briefing the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans on the status of our implementation of the Audit Action Plan. Quickly, this is the presentation outline where we'll then just take the Portfolio Committee through the purpose. We'll then concentrate on two quick slides, Chair and members, which is mainly the summary of the progress to date. Then we will then, in a way, then further analyze what was still in progress as of today, and probably then explain our plan to then fast track actions against those. There are quite a few slides at the indulgence of the committee, which can be read in line with the detailed audit action plan that was then appended to the presentation. So I will not be concentrating on those other slides, Chair, in the interest of time. Just to confirm, the purpose of the presentation is to then brief the Portfolio Committee on Defense and Military Veterans on the implementation progress of the AGSA Action Plan for the year, for the outcome of the 22-23 financial year. Chair, this this slide here is merely a quick summary in terms of the status or progress of us implementing the Audit Action Plan. In this slide, Chair, we have categorized by each function area in terms of the findings. As you can see on the slide here, Chair and members, we've got findings that were related to finance, a total of 54 of them. Corporate services had a total findings of 32, etc., etc. All in all, Chair, we are then reporting that we had achieved 36% of concluding on the action plan, and we still had 64% to then try and resolve. Then on the next slide, Chair and members, we are then just merely concentrating on what was in progress as of today. We are further then breaking it down in terms of percentage completion, where we are then saying 40% was at 80% completion, 47% was at 60% completion, 4% was at 40, 8% was at 20. Probably the most important aspect is what causes us to then delay in terms of concluding and finalizing these plans, Chair and members. I would like to then cast back our presentation in November, where we were presenting the annual report to the Portfolio Committee, where we then confirmed that we did receive a qualified audit opinion. The main reason or the driver to us being qualified was the issue of not fully disclosing what we call irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure in our annual financial statements. We also confirmed, Chair and members, that the difficulty that we had was the lapse in controls in the department during the 21-22 financial year and the greater part of 22-23 financial year, which then indicated that some transactions emanated from the 21-22 financial year cumulatively into the 22-23. So then it was going to be difficult for management to quickly quantify those, because as much as you can then go in and disclose that amount, AGSA will then go back and re-audit. Should they find additional information, then the process become reiterative. So then it was a no winning battle. Then we did commit, Chair, that in order to resolve that, we will then engage on a project where then we appoint an independent service provider who will then come and assess and then assist us in quantifying those elements. And that's why, Chair, then we see majority under finance were at 60%, because majority of the findings were interrelated, meaning that you cannot resolve them completely until the work of the service provider is concluded. And hence then under finance, you will note that we still have about 16 items still sitting at 16%, 16 in total of the 28, which is quite a substantial amount. But those we won't be able to resolve until we have concluded the assessment process, Chair. But I can then confirm, Chair and honorable members, that that process is well underway. So we have done the RFQ terms of reference, we're done. We have sent the RFQ, it has closed. The next step is then for us to then do the evaluation process from those who have responded to our RFQ, and then the work can commence once we have appointed. So we expect that to take another month. So we then are hopeful that we will be in line with the submission of the annual financial statements on the 31st of May of this year, Chair and members. So basically, Chair, the next few slides, Chair, it's merely a demonstration in terms of the key findings by each area of responsibility and probably reporting the progress to date. I will start off with this slide, Chair, slide number 6, where I then refer to the Office of the Director General. As we know that the accounting officer is ultimately responsible for consequence management. There were findings and there are still findings, Chair. This matter is not resolved because these consequence management items are historical. Then you will note that there is a requirement as per guidelines that all irregular and fruitless and wasteful expenditure must be identified and resolved within 30 days. In the meantime, Chair, we are challenged in terms of concluding this because in terms of critical vacant posts, there are certain elements that are not yet fulfilled, e.g. legal services, HR, etc. So then in terms of us implementing this, we are dependent on those structures. But then to circumvent those challenges, we have a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. So then we are making arrangements to resuscitate that MOE so that those processes can still continue even when we still had challenges internally in terms of capacity. There were another key finding where different committees were not being convened as prescribed. I can report, Chair, that the audit committee meets as per the prescribed periods, that is on a quarterly basis. Presently, there is always a need also to have ad hoc meetings with the audit committee. Those are taking place. Risk Management Committee, Chair, is held on a quarterly basis. That is in order. Though, Chair, we may have had challenges with internal management committee meetings, which were not taking place as regularly as it should be. I think then the plan going forward is to ensure that then we do have our monthly management committee meetings, Chair and members. Just the key aspects are the finance, Chair. The first item, we're talking about the various material misstatements on the annual financial statements. I can confirm that majority of these were then rectified during the audit process, except the issue of the irregular expenditure, which led to our qualified opinion. So that is the only matter that is then still outstanding, Chair and members. There were various findings related to procurement using other means. There is a circular, Chair, that then prescribed the processes that should be followed and what can be procured under that instruction note, Chair. It is instruction note number 3 of 2122. As per the AGSA findings, Chair, there were various items that were procured through the travel service provider, which were not meeting that prescript. And hence then we were qualified because we could not easily identify majority of those related procurement items that were procured using that service provider. Hence, then we are embarking on this procurement process for the service provider to assist. Maybe another aspect was the non-compliance with the triple BE submission to the commission. That is not yet resolved, Chair, but again, we have developed the terms of reference. We've gone out on an RFQ. The RFQ is now closed. We will be evaluating next week, Tuesday, and then we'll be able then to appoint a service provider who will then assess us and then provide us with the BE certificate, which should then accompany our submission, which is an annexure, and the copy of the annual report to the commission. Then we become compliant, Chair and members. Under corporate services, Chair, I will just maybe just mention one or two because the trend is the same. Probably we start off with the first item, which is the lack of timely review of policies and standard operating procedure. Probably the challenge we have identified as management is the current policy framework, because it regards every policy that it should follow the same framework. So then management has decided to then disaggregate the policy framework so that it is customized as per the nature of the policy that we handle. So then we are hopeful that then that will then fast track the timely review of the policy, as well as in the past we had then maybe shot ourselves on the foot by then indicating frequent review of policies, which is a period lesser than a year, and in some instances lesser than 3 years. So then each policy, depending on the nature of the policy, we will then review the review timeline so that we don't find ourselves wanting. Under corporate service, probably the burning issue, Chair, at the moment is the organogram of the DMV, which was then implemented in 2010 as an interim organogram. To date, we have not yet concluded that. We are happy to report that probably what has been lacking is the organizational design field within the DMV. So recently, there has been an approval to appoint an OD specialist who will then help us to then redesign the organogram so that then that organogram can be consulted with ministry and subsequently with DPSA and National Treasury. Quickly under ICT, there were various findings regarding firewall management. We can confirm that we have had a meeting with SITA. With SITA, we do have a business agreement as well as different annexures, but the firewall should be managed under the LAN and desktop support. So then the action plan to address all the firewall management issues is well in place, and this should not be a finding going forward, Chair. And lastly, under ICT, amongst other things, is the lack of business impact analysis, as well as the business continuity plan, Chair and members. Partly, this is covered because we do have transversal systems that we are backed up at SITA, which is all our 3 transversal systems, which is PESAL, BES, as well as Logis. So all of those 3 transversal systems are well backed up at SITA. Probably it's only the servers that are based in the building that then we have to have backup plans for. So in this regard, then we are in a way to make a plan. Under SES, there is nothing pending under SES, Chair. I would like, with your permission, to skip. Probably under ESM, the most pending factor there is the issue around the burial claims that were not paid within 30 days. All in all, this KPI is a bit concerning for us, the way it's drafted. So management is also considering a review of the KPI itself. But in the meantime, we have then identified a system outside the department, which will then engage Department of Public Works to then assist us with that system, because it's for free. It's a free system. It doesn't come at a cost. Then that will assist us in then tracking the compliance with the 30 days payment. However, Chair, it's important also to highlight that in some instances, the department may have received a claim. Why it goes beyond 30 days, it's the lack of complete set of documents that should accompany the application, Chair, or the request to refund the family. So the DMV will then further workshop the families when they make applications to ensure that there is complete set of documents. Probably, Chair, I will move to that the third element, which is lack of supporting information for the ICT training. This is one of the areas, Chair, that we will be assessing, because the department went on what they call digitization project, where we trained military veterans. We bought tablets. Those tablets were bought through a transversal contract. However, you look at the tablets, there are no proper controls. You look at whom was then trained. The information is a bit not in order, Chair, and hence then AGSA had major concerns with that reporting of the ICT training. So it's part of the assessment that we will be conducting, Chair. That matter will be resolved once the assessment has been concluded. However, I must put a rider, Chair, that there may be a need for forensic. Because once there's a need for forensic, we won't be concluding that matter until we have the forensic results. I thought I should emphasize that, Chair. Lastly, Chair, if we look quickly under internal audit and risk management, there was no evidence that audit committee oversees risk management. As we indicated, that audit committee is now in place, and risk management is part of the standing items or on the agenda for the audit committee. The audit committee did not review adequacy, reliability, and accuracy of financial statements. I can confirm, Chair, yes, it was the issue there because there was no audit committee when we then had to submit the annual financial statements of 22-23. But I can confirm, Chair, as per our records, that item is closed off now. Audit committee has reviewed all the quarterly annual financial statements before us submitting to National Treasury. Then there was no 3-year rolling audit and risk plan. This is informed by the fact that we did not have an effective audit, internal audit unit. This is then being addressed by outsourcing the DMV internal audit function. RFQ is closed. We will be assessing tomorrow, and then the appointment will be done. And then we will then develop the 3-year rolling audits and risk plan for the department, Chair. That will be the end of the presentation. I don't know whether ADG wants to add before I hand over to the Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. I will not be adding anything, but I will be handing over to the chairperson of the audit committee, as you have suggested, chairperson, that both presentations should be taken. Yes. Over to you, chairperson of the audit committee.
Chair, with your permission, do we have to share the presentation or members have their reports?
You can please share it on the platform.
Okay, thank you.
It's because the platform is not for members only. They are public watching.
All right, thank you, Chair.
Chair, is it only on my side that it has gone quiet now?
Mine too, Cobus, has gone quiet.
Me too. I was just about to check with the chairperson, but I don't see anyone unmuted here who's speaking.
I think you must blame it on Shelembe.
Oh my God. Oh, okay.
This is a KZN conspiracy going on.
Yeah, absolutely, Chair.
Anyway,
we're still waiting for the
Jesus dying for
share.
everyone. Yeah, no, I'm Jesus now, dying for everyone.
Is the team working on the sharing of the screen? Oh yes, there it is, Mr. Shelembe. Thank you.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, Audit Committee members and staff. The report that you are going to be presenting.
It looks as though, sorry, it looks as though you are sharing me. You are sharing my face.
Oh, yeah.
And what a face.
Thank you. Now it's we can see the document.
The report before you is meant to provide a comprehensive overview of our oversight activities with a main focus on monitoring of audit action plans, addressing challenges and outlining the progress made during this financial year 23-24. I think we apologies. Apologies, we were having a bit of a network issue. The first issue that we're going to talk you through is that of internal audit. And basically, the CFO has spoken to where we are with regards to internal audit. But I'd like to share the reasons behind us as the audit committee recommending that internal audit be outsourced. Firstly, we found that internal audit was inefficient. There was no approved audit plan, and not just for this financial year, but for the prior years as well. There were no reports that had been presented, not just in this year, but financial years and beyond. No review of the Fs before submission of the annual financial statements to AGSA. There was no capacity within internal audit not even for AUPs, because we then wanted to know if there was capacity to have audits that are not on the audit action plan. And the response we got was that there was no such capacity. There was no assessment of the internal audit function by the Institute of Internal Auditors. And because of the importance of internal audit function as a point of assurance for the audit committee, a decision was then made to have internal audit outsourced as a matter of urgency. But before we got to that, we inquired as to whether or not we can have interns that are seconded, and we were told that had been attempted and it had failed. And we asked also if there was a request to the department to outsource, to second some members to the internal audit. We're told that had been done, but there was no available personnel to do that. Hence, we made the decision to have this internal audit outsourced as a matter of urgency. The second matter is that of risk management. Risk management has also been found to be weak. And as long as the ownership of risk is made that of the risk manager, we will have problems with risk management. So what the audit committee has actually proposed is that there should be a bottom-up approach to risk management. So, and with time, risk management should form part of management's KPIs, so that there is ownership of risk at all levels, and therefore mitigation at all levels. The other matter that we reporting on is that of the ICT architecture, because CFO has just mentioned that there is backup that is being done, and this is stored off-site with SITA. And that is an improvement from what we had when we came on board, that there were no backups that were being done, which posed a risk to business continuity. However, because now the backups are being conducted, the risk is somewhat minimized. However, there are two issues that remain a concern for the audit committee. It is well and good to have backup being done, but they also need to test whether the backup is usable. The one thing that you don't want is to have a crash and find that the backup cannot be used. So we have recommended that there should be testing of backup, not just doing the backup. And the second matter is that of the disaster recovery plan. Currently, there is no disaster recovery plan, and we've asked ICT to work on a disaster recovery plan, but there also needs to be an identification of a site for the disaster recovery plan. So that takes care of ICT. And then the other matter that remains a concern is the vacancies. There is still vacant critical positions such as legal, HR, and even finance needs to be capacitated. We feel that there is concentration risk because the institutional knowledge actually resides with one person, not just that. It seems as if the CFO is actually spread very thin. So we want to address that matter, but because of the moratorium currently in place, the accounting officer is working on a submission to Public Service Administration to lift the moratorium on these critical positions. The biggest one is that of legal, because without a legal person, we do not know the extent of litigations that the department is facing. So we'll find, management will actually find themselves almost blindsided by litigations that they're not aware of. So HR as well is important because one of the critical issues that was also raised by external audit is that of performance management and also consequence management. So without an HR person being in place, we will not be able to get this matter sorted out. But we are encouraged that the accounting office is actually working on addressing this with public service and administration. Apologies for that. Then we go back to some of the challenges that we saw. There is the issue of the burial benefit. And this will remain a repeat finding. It has been a finding and it will remain a repeat finding because the DMV policy is not aligned to the legislation, that is the Military Veterans Act. So this needs to be aligned. However, before we do the alignment, there needs to be some form of change management in place, because if you're going to affect what the benefits are, then there needs to be change management so that there is ownership of the change, and so management has been advised to fast track this matter. So there needs to be change management in place to address this matter. And then we get to performance management. There were findings around performance management, but we are happy that we've noted improvement from what we saw in Q1 and Q2 reports. The improvement has come about because of portfolio of evidence that has been presented that supports what has been achieved. But the one leg that we would like to have management look into, and we have addressed that with management, is that of the completeness of information being reported. So when we have portfolio of evidence, we are actually confirming existence of actions. However, it does not talk to the completeness thereof. So that is the loop that we've asked management to look into. But we are encouraged at the improvement since Q1 and Q2. So Q3 looked much, much better than what we found. And I think I have covered most of what we found and have responded to. Oh, there is the matter of health benefits. If you look at the management report that AG gave us, you will see that there is a lot of contingent liabilities. And if any of those were to crystallize, then we would have a problem with solvency. And the health benefits as they stand in their current form pose a huge risk to solvency. The department runs a huge risk of being unable to service this liability. The committee has advised management to look at the cost versus benefit of having an administrator, so that the capping of benefits is implemented. Right now, the liability is actually getting higher and higher. So we have asked management to look at trying to source an administrator, look at the cost there too, versus the benefit, because that would actually save a lot of money that is currently sitting as a liability that may crystallize. And unfortunately, the CFO cannot go out and source funding. So it is important that we minimize those liabilities. I think I have covered everything that we have looked into. Okay, I'm just getting a note from my members to see if we've covered everything. they're happy that we've covered everything. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Colleagues, you can now withdraw the presentation. Colleagues, the matters are on the table for discussion. I don't know. Can you also remove the screen that is before me? Thank you. And the presentation. Thank you. All right. I wanted to see the participants board. I have 3 hands so far. I'll start with you, Mr. Bond, Mr. Mare, and Mr. Shedem, in that order.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Mr. Bond. Yes, Mr. Matapo and Ms. Petle. I will take you after the 3 colleagues. Ms. Bond, start with you.
Thanks, Chair. Appreciate that. I appreciate the presentations, especially from the Audit Committee. I think in a military term, they are on target. But I want to just re-emphasize that part of their job is to ensure effectiveness, efficiency, and economy, which makes this DOD relevant. So I want them to remember that, because as far as I understand, without a 3-year plan for internal audit, even though there were shortcomings in filling those posts, what it does is it makes the external audit more extensive and the cost to the department more. So I understand these things because they should be in place, and Audit Committee have identified those things so that we as committee can say they need to have these things in place urgently. I have a genuine problem with the CFO representing the internal audit, because that doesn't show independence of the internal audit. There's something wrong there with the line function, because I believe that internal audit plan should be sent to the Auditor General for scrutiny, so that the Auditor General can check the KPAs and KPIs of internal audit, so they're in compliance with reducing compliance with internal audit specs, and like the internal audit committee, the Audit Committee has said, there needs to be independence with regards to oversight of the internal audit. So I just think that if we have these things in place, we'll be able to reduce our internal costs, and we'll be able to introduce also that our costs externally for external audit will be minimized. I'm just saying these. I just want these things that I've said. They're just there for relevance. Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation by both the CFO and the Audit Committee. Just one thing, I'm obviously very concerned that they are now, after a number of years, coming with outsourcing of internal audit. Now, as I understand the function and the role of internal audit is precisely what it means and what it says, internal audit. Now, obviously by outsourcing that, it's an immediate, in my opinion, a vote of no confidence in terms of the internal audit capabilities. And then one must go and look and say, so why is there a problem and a concern with internal capacity and capabilities? What do we expect from the department? And are they basically failing in that regard? I mean, even the minister has been outspoken in the past by saying this is a dysfunctional department. And is that not a proof of a dysfunctional department if they cannot even do internal audits. External audits are there for a specific purpose. But when you're outsourcing internal audit functions, are you not really then contracting someone else to do it on your behalf because you are not capable of doing it? And is that not part of your obligations to have that internal audit capability? I'm very concerned about that, and they must explain to me what the difference is then with internal audit capabilities like any other government department has got and are obliged to do and to provide, and outsourcing that. Then secondly, I want to ask the CFO, you have given us a report. The one thing, and you have even touched on, where you are obliged to pay within 30 days, and you have not really given details on those where you have extended that period and what are you doing in that regard. The one thing that I have in that sense not picked up, and that I will ask you about, we all know about in 2020 about the whole drama at the hotel in Centurion, where the war veterans had that meeting, and where the Department of Military Veterans made the bookings accommodation for those war military veterans, and then they extended their stay, and then the department refused to pay for that extended accommodation of the war veterans. And then there was various cases, amongst others, a DMV appeals process, where the Department of Military Veterans was instructed to pay for those outstanding accommodation costs of the war veterans. Now, my information is that even today, that monies have not been paid by the DMV. So obviously, because that will be part of an audit process, there will be part of qualified audits in the future by the Auditor General, as long as this is outstanding. So what is the progress in this regard? You obviously cannot, I assume, cannot take an appeal outcome against you again on appeal. And if you are planning to do that, have you done that? Why not? And when will you do that? Because this seems to be a significant obligation on the department.
Mr. Mare, you are making a
Yes, sir.
present.
Yes, sir.
We are discussing the audit action plans. And
Yes.
they have the audit action plans. Yes, they do. The audit action plans look at matters that were flagged by the AG. And I can see you are looking at new issues.
No, I'm not looking at new issues. I'm looking at issues within that specific period of reporting. And although they have addressed, like a group, but they haven't specifically. So I'm asking specifics within that presentation, because those are things standing out. And as long as that will be standing out, this audit will not be concluded, and it will remain a qualified audit.
Okay. When they mentioned it, the AG's report, or is a new issue that you think it was an omission on the AG's report?
Well,
I'm trying to
whether
understand where you're
the
going.
AG, well, all that I know is those are still things outstanding within that period. Now, whether the AG report has mentioned each case specifically, and whether they have grouped them together, but I know that as long as an individual case like this is outstanding, that issues raised by the Auditor General will not be resolved, and it will stay a qualified audit whilst the obligation has not been met. So my question is, in general, but more specifically about this specific case, when will they then pay these obligations in terms of the DMV appeal board resolution and instruction? Thank you.
Okay. Right. Was that the only item, Mr. Mare? You were at another item or issue?
No, that'll be all. That'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shelembe? Mr. Shelembe, we're dealing with audit action plans as presented, as well as the report of the Audit Action Committee on their workings, challenges, and successes.
No, thank you. Ngiyabonga sihlalo. Sihlalo, I mean, it's unfortunate that now we are right towards the end of our term in the office. And Chair, we have been talking about these things since we came to the office. My concern, Chair, as it has been raised, you know, the issue of, the consequence management. Chair, I don't know what you're gonna do, because if we had a problem about the key positions to be filled for years, especially the one that has been highlighted by the president, the issue of the human resource management makes it difficult for the department, to continue. I'm just asking, Chair, if there are people whether there are people acting in those positions or there are no people acting in those positions. If there are people acting in those positions to assist with the consequence management, I hope they are getting, a sort of an acting allowance. What's the good use of paying out the acting allowance to people who can't do the job for years? And Chair, looking to the issue, of regressing from unqualified to qualified is raising a concern that when we came in, we were pushing for the department to get the clean audit, but what we are getting now is the qualified, which is leading us to a disclaimer. Chair, I'm checking, when are we going to see, these positions, being filled? Because I can see the recommendations, all that stuff. I don't know whether the DMV will have some answers, but to me, these are just the concern that nothing can be done if we still have these vacancies. I'm just checking now the cooperation from the DMV, to the internal audit teams, if there is. But Chair, it's very, very concerning that we are regressing. Also, the issue of the burial claims, that already tainted, department of a DMV is getting tainted more because the suppliers or the service providers, surely they're not talking good about the department. And also the issue of the not, inviting of competitive bidding. It's something that is known. Now, that is why I'm asking now if there are any people in those positions, to ensure that, there is compliance or there is also action being taken. But the answer will be there is a lack of consequence management. Until when, Chairperson? Thank you.
Thank you. You may have people, warm bodies in the positions, but only to find that they are not appropriately deployed or they don't have the necessary skill set. That's another issue you may have, Shelembe. I'm just, but I'll make a follow-up on your point when I speak later. Thank you very much. Petle? Sorry, Motapo and then Petle.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, colleagues, and officials from the department and the audit committee. Chairperson, the first issue will be the internal audit, but I think my colleagues, in terms of outsourcing the internal audit function, have covered the matter sufficiently. Let me leave it. And then on the issue of vacancies, Honorable Chairperson, these are very critical positions, especially the legal one, as Honorable Bond has alluded to. So my question is, how far will it take the department to fill in these very critical positions, especially the legal one? And then the second issue is the burial benefit, wherein we are informed that DMV policy is in conflict with the enabling legislation. My take is that this should be attended to very, very urgently, as the audit committee has advised. It is a very, very serious anomaly, Honorable Chairperson. And then on CFO also doing internal audit function is a very serious anomaly too, a conflict of interest. as one cannot be a judge in one's cause. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mutapo. Ms. Petle.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, colleagues, everyone around the table, if ministers present also, good morning. Chair, it's so unfortunate because we are also, all of us, we are curious about the internal audit to be outsourced. Now, my question here is that, is this a permanent outsourcing or is just a temporary outsourcing because of the challenges they have raised? And if that is temporarily, how long will it take? Because unfortunately, the dictionary stipulates the other way around. Internal and outsourcing cannot be one and the same thing. And what will happen, a follow-up question, what will happen if the service provider that this has been outsourced to them, they are not compliant? Who will be held responsible in that regard? The second element, Chair, here is that I'm not going to pose a question, but maybe to make an input that may help. Because sometimes it's not the department that creates a delay in terms of documents. Perhaps they should create a booklet that will be given to everyone while he's still alive, and then that booklet on a yearly basis, if there are changes, the booklet will show the changes, but it should stipulate the kind of documents that will be needed to individuals or family members when an individual has passed on. Perhaps that in itself may reduce the delay. I know it may be a costly exercise, but perhaps it will help also to reduce the negative impact that is said about the delay of death payment, because it's very important to be paid on time so that you can be able to bury a certain individual with the dignity that person deserves. And then on the element of policy, I think Honorable Mutapo has covered it appropriately. That need to be urgently addressed and being corrected accordingly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And I forgot to welcome the members of the Audit Committee. So you must feel free to engage in the discussion. I also see the hand of Honorable Washington Mafanya.
Thank you very much, Chair. Actually, the presentation exonerates the committee because we came to a conclusion that the DMV has literally collapsed. And the presentation tells us about the future plans that they want to do and what the recommendations are given by the AGs that we have to outsource certain tasks. And the question that remains is who employs who? Because the question that may arise from our side is that if politicians do have a part in employing people, then that's going to be a problem as well. And then if incompetent people also are the ones who adjudicate who needs to be hired or not, then it becomes a serious transgression at the same time, because there will always be a conflict of interest. So it really tells us that we were correct in our observations, that there is a lot that is going on within the DMV. And this kind of presentations that are not coherent with what is expected gives an impression that there's a lot that needs to happen, there's a lot that needs to be investigated, and thereafter it is only then that we'll have a prominent, healthy DMV. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Washington. I think that concludes the comments by the colleagues. I will then invite the team to reflect on the comments and answer what appear to be questions. I don't know, who do we start with? Maybe let's start with you, Acting DG.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I would want to look at the matter raised by Honorable Marie on the issue which I suppose deals with the matter of Rama City. Even though it's not part of the Audit Action Plan, I would want to indicate that there are matters that are sitting between the department and the courts, and that maybe we be given a time to come, Chairperson, and present about on all litigations that the department is faced with. I don't think we are ready to actually present on that today. Another issue, Chairperson, is around vacant funded posts. Chairperson, the department is attempting to address the issues around vacant funded posts. Yes, it has taken the department too long to actually deal with the matters. In fact, when I started to act, we were already in austerity measures, meaning that all vacant funded posts were frozen, and that we needed to then motivate for critical posts to the minister for concurrence. And once we then get a signature, we then approach the Department of Public Service and Administration for further concurrence, and then National Treasury for unfreezing of those posts. We have done the concurrence with the minister. We have received that approval. We have approached now the Department of Public Service and Administration for concurrence, and once we get that, we'll then approach a National Treasury. It is a work that we take seriously, Chairperson, because in the event you have a vacant funded post, it means an official internally is actually expected to do work of more than one person, and that might lead to poor quality of a report and work, but it can also further lead to a lot of absence because people are suffering from burnout. So we are mindful of all of those things, Chairperson, and we are addressing them. On the issue of burial support, I would want to clarify the issue. The issue of burial support, the threshold at a given time was 25,000. And the department went ahead and increased the threshold to 42,000 without following the necessary processes. Sorry, not 42 to 40, Chairperson, without following the necessary processes that would lead to gazetting and also getting concurrence with National Treasury so that the baseline can be also be increased. So the department paid those 40,000 with then a baseline. We have the draft as we speak, Chairperson, to address that matter so that we can get the concurrence from the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans and further seek concurrence from National Treasury. Honorable Shelembe raised an issue about whether, in fact, he tried to link consequence management with human resource management and acting of individuals. In the issues where we say, in the positions where we say they are critical and vacant like your legal, it is difficult, Chairperson, to have an official who doesn't have legal qualifications to actually act in that environment. At the moment, we are relying on defense for support, and we are also relying on state attorneys. We have lifted that as a risk, and we are attempting to address it. If you allow a chairperson, when we come, we should then be providing progress on recruitment so that we can display the levels we are at in terms of recruitment. I will then attempt to deal with the issue of an independence of no, let me not, because there's a audit committee. The issue of the booklet, we take note of that comment, Honorable Pehle. We will consider it. I will then hand over to the chairperson, in fact, to all audit committee members for further contribution. Thanks.
Thank you, Acting DG. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll respond to the issue of internal audit. And firstly, let me talk about the CFO doing the work of internal audit. That is actually not true. Right now, there is nobody who is doing the internal audit function. What is happening is that the sourcing of the service provider is in place. There are SCM policies or processes that have to be adhered to in sourcing that service provider. And this is where SCM comes in, and maybe because it reports to the CFO. This is purely an SCM function of sourcing a service provider. In terms of whether outsourcing, outsourcing internal audit, it is normal that where there is no capacity internally, that the function gets outsourced. It does not change the reporting lines. It does not change what internal audit does, whether it is insourced or outsourced. They functionally, internal audit, whether it's a service provider or in-sourced internal audit, will report functionally to the audit committee, administratively to the accounting officer. That remains the case. There is no risk that because it is outsourced, then there will be a struggling between the external and internal audit function. But I think it's also important to note that this internal audit will come up with an internal audit action plan, and they will report to the audit committee on progress around the action plan. So the audit committee will still do its function of oversight, and internal audit will report on their progress to the audit committee. So I think I'll just hand over to one of the members. The one other thing that I wanted to talk to is the issue raised by one of the members around costs. Yes, when an internal control environment is weak, then external audit will go more substantive in their audit. And that will happen until we have an internal audit in place and the control environment is sound. it is true that it may be costly because external audit is now going substantive, but in the long run, that is where we are going. I think I'll hand over to one of the members to then take us to respond to the other questions.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. My name is Chavedi Sarote, member of the Audit Committee. I believe one of the issues that was asked was how long will the term of this outsourcing be? Currently, it's for 36 months. And at the main why it would be like that, as the chair has previously alluded to, we are actually in a crisis mode due to already issues that we identified. The fact that there's no internal audit plan in place, there's no review of financials before financials are submitted to the audit. So what we are looking for is actually a competent accounting firm to run things, especially the fact that we are also in running issues of a qualified audit opinion. So it's actually important that we bring in quite competent people. But at the same time, one issue that we are aware of is also the issue of we would have wanted a skills transfer. But what has been agreed at the moment with the acting DG is the issue of skills audit, which will be done across the board, where one is able to see across DMV if there aren't any individuals who may be able to be competent to come into the internal audit space, and there can be some sort of a skills transfer. So at the main, it's that would have been the main issue. And I believe the chair has already emphasized on the fact that it is quite normal to outsource, especially considering the issues that are at hand. And internal audit, of course, by the fact that functionally it reports to the audit committee. So the audit committee is obliged to act based on current circumstances. I'm not sure if Chair would have covered everything. Yeah. So, yeah.
Chair, I wanted to maybe just add, because there is a concern from the honorable members around the CFO's independent. I'm not going to talk for myself, but I would have loved that to be addressed by the audit committee and the acting DG chair.
I think we did address that, because what we had the member saying was that CFO is responsible for internal audit. CFO is doing the work of internal audit. And I said that is actually incorrect.
I think you did.
Yes. Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Chair.
All right. Colleagues, I think Mr. Bond.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to make any more comment because, no, Chair, I just want to state that my 15 years of working for the Auditor General as an internal systems auditor actually does pay some dividends sometime.
Yeah,
so
no.
that's
It does.
Thank you, Chair.
Unfortunately, we're not going to give you any incentive for that today. All right.
Maybe, Chair, the internal audit position.
Okay, colleagues, these are the issues to take forward. Please, Audit Committee, please note the following. Can we get a presentation on the skill sets in the department and the areas that these sets are deployed from the position of DD, right up to from the position of the deputy director, deputy director upwards. And we're now dealing with capacity of the department, the skill set. And of course, you also provide us with the qualifications of the officials from DD upwards, and also indicate whether the qualifications have been verified by SAQA as it ought to be. And then thirdly, the names of officials who have not signed the performance agreements. It was an issue 2022, 2023. We are now closing 2024. We want to see if this will be a recurring audit query. We want this information by the close of business on Friday. Friday this week. I'm sure it's available on a press of the button. And are we in agreement, Audit Chair? Before I move to the AG, the acting SecDef, acting DG.
Chair, I just want to check whether you want confirmation from the chairperson of the audit committee or
yes, because it's an instruction to the audit committee, and whether they will be able to deliver the information by Friday. Can I get that confirmation?
Thank you, Chair. Let me respond to the time frame that says Friday, and it is not possible to have this by Friday. Yes, it is an operational matter, but if we're going to get the kind of information that you're asking for, where there is no head of HR as well, a day or 2 days to get that information together is not possible. Maybe a week, the next Friday, maybe, sounds more reasonable.
Let's say next week, Tuesday, so that I present it at the meeting on Wednesday. I think Tuesday Friday is too far. I mean, you need a week just to get this information. We're not talking about a department that too many. All right, let's give you until Friday. Friday next week, by the close of business, you give us this information. The skill sets in the department, the areas it is deployed, the qualifications, as well as whether the qualifications have been verified or not, and as well as the names of people who have not signed the performance agreements. Agreed? Thank you. By Friday, we get the information. And to the acting Director General, you give us the list of vacant critical posts, funded or not funded, and the process of filling them. I know the process is underway, but will give us the plan around it and the timelines if there are any. And the 2 staff members who are on suspension, and the 3 matters under litigation and monetary values involved. And so those are the issues that came up during the discussions that we need to make a follow-up on. And then maybe to you, CFO, You said the contract of the external service provider is for 3 years, 36 months, starting from when?
Thank you, Chair. Like I indicated earlier, we have closed the RFQ. It's two-phase, Chair, because we were going to take longer with the bid process. So we've gone on an RFQ for the period of 6 months, effectively upon appointment, and thereafter we'll then, parallel to that, run the bid for the 3 years. So as soon as the 6 months runs out, the 36 months will kick in. Thank you, Chair.
Oh, I see. The outsourcing is yet to happen. At the moment, you are working on the process to get the service provider.
Agreed, Chair.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. And acting SG on the 3 issues I mentioned above, by when do you think this information will be available for the committee?
Chairperson, if you can give me Friday, and if
Friday
the
next
information,
week?
yes, if it
Okay,
not this
Friday next week. Next week.
next week.
All right, sure. All right.
But
No, it's
Chairperson,
fine.
if it's available before then, we'll provide the information.
No, it's fine. It's up until Friday, acting DJ. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Colleagues, is there any 1 or 2 area that you think we need to add to the matters that the department must come back on in writing? All right. Doesn't look like there's any other. I think that then takes us, Brian, have we not exhausted the agenda?
Chair, we still have 1 set of minutes to adopt.
Oh, I see. But at least with the department and the audit committee, we have exhausted all the issues. Let me thank you, Acting DG Mafu, for your presentation, and as well as the acting chair, as well as the members of the audit committee for their attendance and presentation. I think I can see synergy. I think I can see the glimmer of hope. And please stay on course and just press the pedal a bit to pick up the speed. And because the issues we're dealing with are very urgent and pressing, and we want to see the department having the necessary capacity and able to execute its responsibilities, and in terms of all the prescripts. With that, I wish you all well as you leave the platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. Thank you. Thank you. Right, Brian, please, let's do the minutes. Please fly them. I want to give committee members a bonus of 1 hour to leave the meeting at 12 so that they have a bonus. Right, this meeting was to receive a briefing on the cooperation between the BMF, Border Management Authority, why I say BMF, BMA, Border Management Authority, and the SNDF on border management, and the briefing by the content advisor on high-level overview of the DoD budget and the strategic performance indicators. That item was deferred, I remember. And then we dealt with the correspondence and the minutes. So this was the attendance. I hope, please look at it. If you are happy with it, let's proceed. If there are any corrections. We're now on page 2. If there are any corrections. Page 3, if there are any corrections. Page 4, if there are any corrections. Page 5, if there are any corrections. And the last page, if there are any corrections. Thank you. All right, colleagues, these minutes I present for adoption. Let's first check if there are any corrections. Colleagues, any correction? No corrections?
None, well captured.
Well captured. Motapo is moving the minutes for adoption. Any seconder?
Petle is seconding, Chair.
Petle is seconding. Brian, this was the minutes are actually adopted. Brian, this was the last minute you said.
That is correct, Chair.
Any other matter?
None, sir.
Okay, so the bonus is 1 hour, 15 minutes. Colleagues, the meeting stands adjourned until we meet again.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Bye, Shilembe.
Oh, my Petle.
Recording stopped.